It's time for the Las Vegas Sportsline, brought to you by CG Technology Sportsbook.
Money won is twice as sweet as money earned.
Presented by WagerTalk.com.
And here we go. It's the Thursday edition of the Las Vegas Sportsline. I'm Dave Cokin. Ralph Michaels is here. It's our CG Sportsbooks Thursday, and that means Will Bernanke, the Moneyline guy, will be along in just a little bit. We'll take the behind-the-counter tour with Will and find out where the money is showing on all the games, basketball, hockey, baseball, where the ticket counts are as well. It's really good information for those of you who are into that kind of thing. Doesn't get any better than that. Ralph, the Houston Rockets had a golden opportunity last night to take out the Golden State Warriors and go up 3-2 with a chance to win it at home in Game 6. Injury to Kevin Durant. They'd already made a real good comeback from 20 down in the game. But at crunch time, it was the Warriors who stepped forward, even though they were shorthanded, and got the win. That's a huge victory for Golden State because, once again, they look like they might be finding a way to get past the Houston Rockets team that, for all the... Look, the Rockets had them 3-1 in a previous series. They've got them basically in shape to put them down last night and take control of the series. Rockets don't have the ability to close, it looks like, and the Warriors do.
You know, Draymond Green is a player who just steps up when he has to step up, and a lot of people don't give him enough credit, and he's not amongst those players you talk about often, but when they need that spark, he is there on both sides of the ball. Yes, he made the stupid play by giving him the knee, but he comes right down after, hits that three-pointer, and keeps the game to the Warriors' favor.
And, you know, for what it's worth, the Rockets could not get a loose ball last night. They gave up one critical offensive rebound and then another ball that got away and late in the game, and it's bouncing all over the place, and it ends up going to the Warriors, and they get the put away with Klay Thompson. So one team knows how to finish, the other doesn't, and the Rockets, while they are certainly favored in Game 6, and we'll find out what the ticket count's like in that game, it's going to be tough for them to win 2 in a row against the Warriors. And, by the way, the home team now 5-0 straight up in that series. But all 5 games have been close, so it's been an underdog series from a betting standpoint.
Rockets are, 5-1, and the only game they didn't cover was that foul with a couple seconds to go. And they've kept it close. But you know what? Close isn't good enough when it comes to the NBA Eastern Conference or Western Conference.
Nothing close about the Bucks and Celtics last night. Boston was a no-show. I talked yesterday during the show, and I was perplexed at why Boston money was showing in the game, because I thought this is a team that looks like it's going to just pack it in. And boy, did they ever. I didn't play the game, so it's not like I'm bragging about a winner. I should have played the game. Milwaukee was clearly the right side. They could have won that game by 30 if they wanted to.
My sentiments exactly. On a podcast yesterday, I said it looks like the Celtics are completely out of sync. There's no harmony on that team. Kyrie Irving is playing for himself and not as far as the team's concerned.
He knows he's done with the Celtics.
Milwaukee looks like a young team, too young to have pressure. They shouldn't be. They've never been in the spot. They haven't been in the spot, but it doesn't matter when you got one of the best 3 players in the NBA leading the way, and he has led the way.
And in the NHL, I call it karma, call it destiny, just call it blank luck. The Sharks have got it right now. Everything's going right for them. Now, I don't want to make it sound like I'm taking away from their win last night. They were the better team for most of the game against Colorado, certainly the first 2 periods. The Avalanche took over in the 3rd period, though, and appeared to have tied the game. Replay on a challenge by the Sharks, and sure enough, it's by an inch. But the guy's offside. The goal comes off the board, and while the Avalanche did make it a 3-2 game, they might be playing overtime still had that goal not come off the board. So for the 2nd straight series in Game 7, San Jose gets a big stroke of luck in their favor, and they're still playing, and the Avalanche are not. And I got to tell you, I don't know that the Sharks, they might be the weakest, in my opinion, maybe the weakest of the 4 teams that's still playing. I'm not going to be betting against these guys right now. They've just got everything going their way.
Believe it or not, when a team has that type of destiny-type season like they're having, and what a turnaround for Martin Jones. I mean, an incredible performance after giving up, 15 goals in 3 games against the Golden Knights to get him in this position. Just one of the remarkable in-season or in-playoff turnarounds I've ever seen.
It is a redemption tour for Martin Jones, and he came up really big late in the game last night in a couple of great opportunities for the Avalanche to tie the game and force overtime, and Jones made the saves that counted when they needed to be made. Time for us to check out some of the action tonight, and we'll do so with our MJ Christensen Diamonds 4 at 4.
1, 2, 3 into the 4.
Put them fours up. Put the fours up, I said. Do it right now.
Tonight's action is just around the bend, and the guys want to get your night off to a great start.
4.
It's the Las Vegas Sportsline's 4 at 4.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. Unbelievable.
And we'll start it off in a moment with Raptors and 76ers, but a reminder, Mother's Day is Sunday. If you have not yet chosen, listen, this is one of I mentioned Valentine's Day and Mother's Day. Those are the two holidays that if you're lucky enough to have a Valentine in your life or a mom, you can't miss this. This is one of the holidays you can't screw up, right? I mean, you just can't screw this one up.
I think Mother's Day is even more important.
I mean, think you might be right.
And I go out of my way, and there's been other, an aunt who's been influential. I mean, I even extend it. There's a lot of people that are as important as your mother growing up, and I still reach out to them on Mother's Day.
It's a biggie. I know guys, guys are we're wired differently. I couldn't care less about any holiday. I don't care about my birthday. Christmas isn't that big a deal. It's like, get me a belt. I'm fine. But women, it's just more important to them as a whole. I'm generalizing, but on the whole, it is more important to them. So with that realization, you better get it right. You know how you can guarantee yourself getting it right? Take a drive over to Boca Park at MJ Christensen. They've got you set up for Mother's Day. They've got some great sale items. They'll help you out if you're confused. They're not going to pressure you into something you can't afford or don't want. Put your trust in MJ Christensen. They've been around for 81 years now. They're in their 81st year here in Las Vegas, and they're located at Boca Park. MJ Christensen Diamonds. Now we'll talk Raptors and 76ers. And the 76ers are Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They've alternately looked really good or really bad in this series. If you're looking at it from that standpoint, the due-to theory has kind of worked with this team, and tonight they're due for one of their good games, Ralph.
Yes, as far as the due system goes, but I like the Raptors team now. They've held this team to under 40% 4 of the last 5 games, and I think the difference between this series and the first series is Kawhi has now taken over. He wasn't that go-to guy in the first series, but I'll tell you what, averaging 38 points the first 4 games. The last game he had 21 and 13. He didn't need to get there. Siakam making that turnaround and scoring 25 after
and
being
not even
injured.
being healthy.
Yes. And Embiid, 17 points and 7 rebounds doesn't get it done in this. I expect the Raptors to finish tonight.
One thing that's sure is a Toronto-Milwaukee series with Kawhi and the Greek Freak. That's pretty good basketball.
Much better than the Western Conference series, whoever that is.
I want to watch that. That could be a lot of fun. The Hurricanes and Bruins get started tonight. And, of course, the Bruins will be short-handed for this opening game. Charlie McAvoy, their talented defenseman who plays a ton of minutes with what should have been called a major penalty. We talked about this at length the other day. And, look, I tweeted that night when it happened that he got a 2-minute penalty, which should have been 5, and he's going to get a suspension. And he did. And he's out for 1 game, which is tonight. So the Bruins have to make do with a makeshift blue line, if you will. That does present Carolina with an opportunity to maybe go on the ice at Boston and steal Game 1. Now, the downside of it is the Bruins' first line, when it's right, is the best line in the NHL. The best line in the NHL. Bergeron, Pasternak, and Marchand. You've always got to worry about Marchand making some stupid selfish mistake. He gets carried away sometimes and will pick up bad penalties. But nevertheless, this line is really dangerous, and they were rolling in the last series. So Carolina's going to have to find a way to slow them down. But at the same time, the Hurricanes are going in with nothing to lose and a lot of momentum. A lot of momentum coming off a great 4-game sweep against the Islanders. So if you want to make a case for them being some value on Carolina in Game 1, I can't really argue with that. I think the Bruins will win, but I'm certainly not laying the price.
I have a surprising number with the rust versus rest discussion now. Carolina, of course, as you said, off a 4-game sweep. Boston got extended. The database only goes back to 2008 in the NHL
Well, that's
playoffs.
still more than a decade.
Teams with over 3 days rest in the playoffs, so 4 or more, versus teams at home with 2 or less days rest. That road team is only 3-8. The rested road team only 3-8, and the totals 2-5-4. 2 overs, 5 unders, 4 pushes on the total in the playoffs with that rest scenario.
One thing to note, by the way, the Bruins have been coming out of the gate strongly in first periods. They've been playing really well in first periods, so that might be important tonight. If Carolina can withstand an early onslaught from the Bruins and maybe put the first goal on the board, they might have a chance at an upset. And we'll look at a baseball game as the Rangers, a couple of baseball games actually. The Mariners and Yankees, first of all. The Mariners, every time they look like they're about to sink to 500 or below, they get a couple of wins. And they've gone in and done a nice job at Yankee Stadium in this series so far. They'll try it again tonight. Mike Leake, who has not been in good recent form, will take on Jay Happ. But Jay Happ may be showing some signs of age because he has regressed so far this year, Ralph. The strikeouts are down, and that's become an important game, important part of Happ's game. Happ was kind of just a run-of-the-mill pitcher for a long time. He found an ability a couple of years ago to start getting the strikeouts, and in the process became a better pitcher. The K rate's down this year, and by the way, so is Happ's performance rate. So that's something to keep an eye on here. Could get some runs at Yankee Stadium tonight.
I completely agree with you. Happ at home, 4 starts, a 7.65 ERA. Happ on the road, 3 starts, a 0.93. Mike Leake, again, both teams hitting well. I agree with you, as Teddy would say, to the over tonight.
And I don't know that the over hits in this one because you got 2 pitchers in really good form matching up in Houston. The Rangers and Astros, a little revenge on the mind of the Astros here, no doubt. But they'll be facing what is now the clear ace on the Texas staff. Mike Minor is having a really good season for the Rangers. And we've mentioned this before. We'll keep on mentioning it because the streak is still being maintained. Wade Miley, all of last year and so far this year, 23 starts. And in not one of those starts, none, has he given up more than 3 earned runs. He has been the Rock of Gibraltar in terms of steadiness. He's not going to get you 9 innings, but he'll get you 6 innings and 3 runs or less. That's all you want if you're trying to win baseball games. I think we might have a pitcher's duel tonight, despite the fact that the Astros are tearing the cover off the ball right now and Texas can hit some. This, to me, looks like a game where the pitchers, good pitching still beats good hitting, and I like the form of the 2 pitchers here.
Well, unfortunately, the Joe's angle of the play may go against a little bit what you think there. So there's a little bit of a controversy. I mean, both teams crushing the ball. It is a great matchup because you look at the way they're pitching and hitting. I'll talk more about this with the Joe's angle of the day.
In the meantime, it's time for us to be joined by Will Bernanke from CG Technology Sportsbooks. Will, taking us behind the counter for a lot of things. But before we go behind the counter, Will, let's check up on some of what took place. And we'll begin in the NBA. How was the betting action on the Wednesday night card with the Bucks winning and covering and the Warriors winning but not covering? Let's start with Milwaukee.
Yeah. How you guys doing, by the way? Is it still raining out?
It's a little drops here and there.
Yeah, we'll take it while we can. Bucks winning and covering actually was a slight loss for us, especially in the second half. They covered there, too, and we saw some Bucks money come in at halftime. So Bucks winning the series was break even. So that was, could have been worse there. A lot of line move, but we did get some Celtic money late there.
That does surprise me. I couldn't figure it out yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like, why are people... To me, this was either bet Milwaukee or leave the game alone. The Celtics have just looked, since game 1, have looked terrible in this series. And I was really surprised that Boston was getting as much action as they did yesterday. Yeah,
we saw a couple of some sharp action on the Celtics yesterday. I was surprised, too, because, closeout game, they just haven't looked like a kind of a dead team, a dead men walking at that point, and it really kind of played out that way. So it was surprising that line move did come down. But we did take some public play on Milwaukee, but the sharps were certainly on the Bucks there. And getting to the Warriors, that was actually a great result. Warriors not covering because it wiped out those -5.5 tickets. There were a few of those out there, even though it did close at 6, even got to 6.5, I think, at a point. So that was a good result for us, and we had some money line liability slight on Houston.
How good has this series been for you? Because Golden State winning 3 games but not covering any of them, and Houston, game 3 maybe was not a great result because the Rockets, I think, were a pretty popular side in that game. But Game 4, I mean,